Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our first remote City Commission meeting here at the city's rec center. We're glad everybody joined us, and this is a bit of an experiment, so we'll see how it goes, and we'll go from here. I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order here on May 24th, 2022, and I'll ask our city clerk to please call roll.
Commissioner Galt? Present. Commissioner Guess?
Present.
Commissioner Henderson?
Present.
Commissioner Wilson? Present. Mayor Bray?
Present. So I'll ask Commissioner Guess to say the invocation, and we'll remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Lord God, we thank you for who you are, and we thank you for the opportunity to come here to gather, and we just lift our city up, and I lift each and every person up here tonight to clear our heads. Just let us make wise decisions, and just everything we do, we have to glorify you. We love you in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, City Manager, are there any deletions to the agenda?
Mayor, none this evening.
Okay. Before we get into the consent agenda, I just thought I'd make a couple of remarks. I like to start off the meeting by just making a few remarks about things that are going on. And I don't know if you saw the TV last night or newspaper today, but I made some remarks yesterday about 911. It's a project that we have going on, trying to determine what our long-term plan is going to be in order to replace an outdated an outdated 911 system. And I've kind of come to the conclusion over the last, I've been in office now a year and a half. We took out after this 911 project from the get-go. Shortly thereafter, the county asked us to become full partners with them on the outdoor sports complex, which we all agree is a great project for our community. But what's gotten lost along the way, we believe, is the importance and the sense of urgency around our 911 system. And so I made some remarks. I'm very hopeful that we will continue to work with the county to try to come to a solution. That solution's all about funding. And we have the chairman of our 911 committee, Kevin Caulfield, is in the audience tonight. Thanks for coming, Kevin. And it's just something that I plan to continue to push on. And I've talked with all of our commissioners. Our commissioners are all resolute that this is an issue and a project that has to be addressed. So we're going to keep pressing ahead, looking for solutions. So I just wanted to make a couple of comments related to that. I really don't have anything else, and so with that, I think we'll go on and move to the items to our consent agenda. And items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the Board of Commissioners and will be enacted by one motion and one vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. The city clerk will read the items recommended for approval. Would any of our commissioners like an item removed for separate discussion? Okay, so I'll go ahead and ask the city clerk to read the items recommended for approval.
Approve minutes for May 10th, 2022, Paducah Board of Commissioners meeting, receive and file documents, personnel actions, a municipal order accepting grant funds through the U.S. Department of Justice for a 2021 U.S. Bulletproof Vest Partnership Grant Award in an amount of $8,098.38 for the purchase of body armor vests for use by the Paducah Police Department and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents related to same. A municipal order authorizing the mayor to execute a grant application and all documents necessary for a 2022 Kentucky Office of Homeland Security grant in the amount of $862,000 to enable the Paducah Police Department to purchase a mobile command vehicle. A municipal order authorizing the mayor to execute a grant application and all documents necessary through the U.S. Department of Homeland Security for an FY 2022 port security grant in an amount of $34,577 for the Paducah Police Department to update and replace riverfront cameras. A municipal order authorizing the application for an EPA Brownfields Assessment Grant in an amount of $500,000 to support environmental planning and assessments of targeted brownfield sites in and around the city's riverfront, gateway, and south side corridors. A municipal order authorizing the mayor to execute all documents necessary to apply for a land and water conservation grant in the amount of $100,000 through the Kentucky Department of Local Government to replace playground equipment at Kyler Park, and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents related to same.
Second.
Call roll.
Commissioner Galt? Commissioner Guess? Commissioner Henderson? Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. Okay, we have three municipal orders to address tonight. We'll start off with the first one, and I'll ask the city clerk to please read.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners adopt a municipal order entitled, "A Municipal Order Authorizing the Mayor to Execute a Programmatic Agreement Between the U.S. Department of Transportation, Maritime Administration, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Kentucky State Historic Preservation Office, the Osage Nation, and the City of Paducah, Kentucky for historic preservation purposes related to the Better Utilizing Investments to Leverage Development Build Grant."
So moved.
Okay, Suzanne?
So just to make it clear, we prepared just a quick few slides on what a programmatic agreement was. So basically, the programmatic agreement is for the Riverfront Infrastructure Project, and it is a way that we can establish compliance with Section 106, which is the National Historic Preservation Act. And the summation of why we have to sign this or why it's needed is so that we can get our grant funding released for the project. And it allows all of the parties, which is the Corps of Engineers, MARAD, SHPO, Osage Nation, all to agree to review future designs for this project and to protect historic resources. The main parts of this agreement is basically to make sure that any future surveys that we have to do with association with this project, that the people will be qualified to perform these. Any ground disturbing activities would require review by all parties before they are enacted. And basically, when we get to a 60% and 100% design for the Riverfront project, that these entities will all review it and basically streamline the process. So currently, we have sent this document out for all parties to sign it at the same time. The city has their copy here to sign. And just as an update, we recently had our geotechnical boring plan reviewed by all parties. They all signed off on it, and we're scheduled to start those here soon.
And so this is required.
It is required.
And so we're just fulfilling a requirement. That's the way I
Correct.
understand, so.
Correct.
Questions for anyone? Okay, I think we're good. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Okay, City Clerk, call roll.
Commissioner Galt?
Aye.
Commissioner Guess?
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. Okay, the second municipal order has to do with a staffing agreement that we have, and so I'll ask City Clerk to please read it.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners adopt a municipal order entitled, "A Municipal Order Approving a Worker Supply Agreement with Wise Staffing Group for seasonal and temporary staffing assistance in a percentage not to exceed 33% of the pay rate and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents related to same.
So moved.
Second.
Stephanie?
Good evening, Mayor, City Commissioners, City Manager, City Clerk. The Human Resources Department has solicited proposals from 5 staffing companies in Paducah and would like to recommend that we enter into a 1-year agreement with Wise Staffing for temporary and seasonal positions within the city. Wise Staffing will complete the same pre-employment process as the city on part-time and seasonal employees, but this will allow for us to bring staff on faster and when necessary. Labor positions, if the cemetery needs mowing and we need a few extra people in any particular day, they can supply those for us quickly. I've got with me Laura Herlinger and Matt Hatchett from Wise as well, if there's any questions.
So I'm the culprit that asked you all to be here tonight, so thank you very much. And the reason I did is because I think, I think city employees, staffing is a critical component of the city, and I'd heard good reports on the relationship, and so I just wanted to, hear a little bit more about your company or your local company.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. So I have been with Wise Staffing since 2010, May of 2010.
Oh, wow.
I've been in the industry for 30-some years, not just with Wise. But I chose Wise because even though the owner lives in Tupelo, Mississippi, it's a family-owned company that's been around since the mid-'80s. We've got 60 offices. We're the largest staffing agency in the Southeast region. He continuously is opening offices. I manage the Paducah and the Evansville, Indiana office. We're able, the clients that we have, and I'll give a few, Dippin' Dots, Hannon Supply, Petter Supply, H.B. Fuller. I mean, we staff in the areas of like Princeton, Murray, Hickory, Calvert City, Paducah. But a lot of the accounts that we have today are accounts that I brought in 2010 and have been loyal with us over the years. And the reason why is because we take care of our clients. Whenever I go to meetings, they ask, I'm a little nervous, I can't stand talking in front of people.
You're doing great.
But anyway, when they ask me what is the differential between your agency and all the other agencies out there, I always tell them it's the way we take care of our clients. We're efficient, we communicate, we understand what their needs are, we go to the facility, we tour, we get a better understanding and view of what they're doing. I read where you used to work with Amerisource Bergen for
Yes,
40-some years.
Yes, ma'am.
We actually had that account. I was so disappointed that they gave the notice and said we're moving to Olive Branch, Mississippi. So we have a Wise staffing office in that area of Memphis, so they now staff that facility. And I saw where you mountain climb, and my dad, Henry Barber, I don't know if you know of that name.
I do.
Okay, so he climbed Mount LeConte, and he's in his 80s. So I was really very impressed with that. But anyway, so.
Well, I think my mountain climbing days may be behind me.
I think his are too, but he's in much better shape than me, and that was pretty impressive that he could do that. Yeah, but no, we're really excited to be able to staff for the city of Paducah. Mackenzie and Stephanie, I worked with her when she was HR at Petter. So we're very thankful to have the business, and we'll do the best that we can. Yeah. And thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being here. And any commissioners have any questions?
I think your dad was a city arborist, wasn't he?
Yes, and he's a research scientist. He went to Yale and Columbia, and he became the research scientist over West Vaco. Yeah, Timberlands Division, not the paper mill, but the Timberlands Division.
I
Retired
worked with
from
him.
there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's where he knew you from. Yeah,
Yeah,
so he's still going strong.
good for him.
Yeah, it's
Well, take care of us. Make sure we want
I
to
sure
get
will.
we want the best employees. So
That's our
make sure
job.
you.
Yeah,
make sure.
and Matt is heading it, so he'll be a big part of the communication.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for
Okay,
being here.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Okay, Lindsay, you can call roll.
Commissioner Galt,
Aye.
Commissioner Guess,
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Mayor Bray.
Aye. Okay, the next one, we have good news. We're hiring a new Chief Technology Officer, Director, and so I'll let Lindsay read the municipal order first.
I'll propose motion that the Board of Commissioners adopt a municipal order entitled, "A Municipal Order Approving an Employment Agreement Between the City of Paducah and Eric Stuber for Employment as Chief Technology Director and authorizing the mayor to execute same."
So moved.
Second.
Hanging out down here.
Okay, Michelle, tell us about Eric.
Great. Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, and City Clerk. I'm very excited to be here presenting to you an employment agreement with our new Chief Technology Director. His name is Eric Stuber. He is coming to us from Peel and Holland, where he is the Associate Vice President of Systems and Technology. He has also previously been a city employee as a network administrator. Eric, along with several other candidates, completed a pretty extensive interview process, and he really rose to the top. His ability in the technology field, his leadership skills, and his passion for this work really set him apart. So his start date will be June 30th. He's not able to join us this evening, but will be at a commission meeting in June.
Anybody?
He-
So I'll
he's,
just-
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I know we had interviews with him, and it just hit me just now. Did Mr. Stuber have any part in the DEI? Was there any interviewing with him as we did with our city manager? I know we had talked about making sure that that would take place when we hired leadership people, and it just hit me. I could have asked that had it hit me when we did it, but it just hit me now.
Go ahead, please.
No, we did not bring back the DEI panel that was in place when I went through the interview process. However, we did have deep conversations about that. And then I think also in the commission, I think y'all asked some very pertinent and good questions of the candidate during that night that you had the chance to interview him. But no, we did not go through a DEI panel of such with this candidate.
Oh, thank you.
Yep,
I'm sorry.
yep.
Yeah.
So I think relative to the DEI panel, I mean, in terms of hiring future directors, I mean, I think that's something that we want to talk through and make sure that we address that correctly. And I'm not sure if that means a DEI panel per se, or, you know, I don't remember the specific conversation you're talking about, but we definitely need to make sure that,
I think I may have had that conversation with Mr. Arndt, perhaps, and I think we cursory talked about that
yeah.
after we hired
Okay.
Mr. Jordan.
Okay, any other, I wanted to make sure that we talked about this kind of openly because, you know, technology, I mean, I got to tell you, I mean, if we're not on top of technology and IT, there's all kinds of different words you can call it, but, you know, we've got to be, I'm not sure we can be leading edge, but we cannot fall behind. And so the leadership as it relates to this particular function is critical for the city. You know, we've got a new app, you know, out there that, you know, we've released to citizens. We've got some use on it.
Yep.
We need to get a lot more use on it, I think. It gives people a lot of flexibility out there. And this is just one small example of, you know, employing technology.
Yes.
You know, that's externally. But internally, it's very important as well. So I just want to make sure to call that out. So.
No, we appreciate that. And in addition to that app that's been rolled out, we have several other online citizen features that will be part of Eric's goals to help us get those live. So you're right, it's absolutely critical to every single operation we have in the city, including our GIS consortium members
Yeah.
and to our public.
And, you know, and support for our users.
Yes.
I think that's, you know, that's an area that I think we can definitely make some improvements in, whether you know, myself or one of our commissioners is having trouble with technology, but I mean, we've got to make sure our people are armed with technology every single day and that we support them, so.
Yep, and that's one of the things Eric really brings. We've had some conversations between his interview and now, and he really believes the customer service with our internal users is a really critical piece to the success of the department in the city. So he really embodies that, and he'll bring that to this position.
Well, he's already on my good side. so.
Right.
Okay, great, thanks.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Michelle. Sorry.
To Eric's credit, and also with us having that interim with his current employer, we've had that conversation with Peel and Holland, and we're going to be respectful of that interim, but in his other time away from that, he's been reaching out and connecting. He even met with our team in technology. He's also made us aware of some potential issues that are out there that are being, some malware that was circulating and some news about that, and shared it with our current technology department just to make sure that we have. And this is just our first step in re-envisioning what technology is for the city and holding it truly to a higher expectation and a higher standard. And so we've challenged him with that, and we're excited to have him join the team and take us to that next level.
Now, that's great, so. Okay, thank you. I think you can call roll, Lindsay.
Commissioner Galt? Aye. Commissioner Guess?
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. Okay, we have two ordinances to adopt tonight. We talked about them last week, so we'll go on and ask Lindsay to please read the first one.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners adopt an ordinance entitled, an ordinance extending the boundary of the city of Paducah, Kentucky by annexing certain property lying adjacent to the corporate limits of the city of Paducah and defining accurately the boundary of said property to be included within the said corporate limits. This ordinance is summarized as follows. The city of Paducah hereby approves the consensual annexation of certain tracts of property contiguous to the present city limits located at 5470 Old Highway 60, containing approximately 0.52 acres of land.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. Do we have any questions? Okay, please call roll.
Commissioner Galt?
Aye.
Commissioner Guess?
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. So I'll ask the city clerk to please read the second ordinance.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners adopt an ordinance entitled, an ordinance accepting the bid of Central Paving Company in the amount of $1,878,792.30 for pavement reconstruction, construction of a storm sewer system, and water line relocation for the South 25th Street Improvement Project, authorizing the mayor to execute a contract for same, and authorizing the finance director to transfer $1.4 million from the ARPA project fund into the South 25th Street project account. This ordinance is summarized as follows. The mayor is hereby authorized to execute a contract with Central Paving Company in the amount of $1,878,792.30 for pavement reconstruction, storm sewer system construction, and water line relocation for the South 25th Street project. Further, the finance director is hereby authorized and instructed to transfer $1.4 million from the ARPA project fund into the South 25th Street project account ST0040 for said expenditure.
So moved.
Second.
So this is our second big stormwater expenditure that we're using from ARPA funds. Is everybody clear on where the funds are coming from, how they're going to be used? Do we have any? I know we've got Rick here in case we have any questions, but are we all okay? Okay, and I'll ask you to call roll, please.
Commissioner Galt?
Aye.
Commissioner Guess?
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. Okay, we got two ordinances to, we got several ordinances to introduce tonight. The first of which is our telecommunications ordinance. I know we have at least one public comment. So I think what I'd ask is that I'll let the city clerk read the ordinance, the introduction of it, and then I would ask Preston to come up for comments.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance repealing and replacing Chapter 108 Telecommunications of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Paducah, Kentucky. This ordinance is summarized as follows. This ordinance repeals and replaces Chapter 108 Telecommunications of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Paducah in its entirety. The purpose of this ordinance is to establish local policy, guidelines, standards, and timeframes with respect to regulation of telecommunications providers and to promote competition in telecommunications. Additionally, this ordinance allows the City of Paducah to permit and manage reasonable access to rights-of-ways of the city for telecommunication purposes and conserve the limited physical capacity of rights-of-way held in public trust by the city. This ordinance creates a non-exclusive franchise allowing telecommunications providers to bid for the right to construct, erect, operate, and maintain upon, through, along, under, and over rights-of-ways of the City of Paducah a telecommunications system. This ordinance requires fair and reasonable compensation to the city and the residents of the city for permitting private use of rights-of-way, including an application fee and a non-refundable amount of $5,000 and a franchise fee payments as set out herein. As required by KRS 83A.060, the following sections of the ordinance are set forth and shall be published in their entirety. 108-30P, minimum annual franchise fee means $15,000 in the first year of the grantee's franchise and shall increase by $1,000 annually. Section 108-31A, application shall be accompanied by a non-refundable application fee of $5,000 payable to the city. Said application fee shall not be considered franchise fee payments. Section 108-47, compensation. The franchise fee imposed under this ordinance is not in lieu of any tax, fee, or other assessment except as specifically provided in this ordinance or as required by applicable law. By way of example and not limitation, permit fees and business license taxes are not waived and remain applicable as provided by law. Additionally, the city may at any time impose any fees or taxes consistent with state or federal law, including but not limited to property taxes and occupational license fees. B, grantee shall pay a quarterly franchise fee to the city which shall be equal to the greater of A, the minimum annual franchise fee as defined herein and amended from time to time, or B, an amount equal to either 5% of the grantee's gross revenues, which shall be payable quarterly and may be passed through to the grantee's customers if the grantee provides telecommunication service to customers within the City of Paducah, or an amount equal to $2 per lineal foot of facilities plus $3,000 per each wireless facility and $270 per each small wireless facility if grantee does not provide telecommunication service to end users within the City of Paducah. Grantee's first franchise fee payable under this ordinance shall be paid to the city 45 days after the city gives notice to the grantee that the city has exercised its constitutional right to collect franchise fees. Such payment will be prorated for the remaining calendar year. Thereafter, grantee shall pay each franchise fee as applicable in accordance with the schedule below. Minimum annual franchise fee payments, if applicable, to the city shall be paid on or before April 15th of each calendar year during the term of the franchise. Gross revenue-based franchise fee payments, if applicable, to the city shall be computed based on the grantee's gross revenues from each calendar year quarter period, January 1st through March 31st, April 1st through June 30th, July 1st through September 30th, and October 1st through December 31st, and paid on or before the 45th day following each calendar quarter period during the term of the franchise. Facilities-based franchise fee payments, if applicable, to the city shall be computed based on grantee's lineal foot of facilities in the City of Paducah as of January 1st of each calendar year, and paid on or before April 15th of each calendar year during the term of the franchise. Payment not received by the city by the due date shall be assessed interest equal to the lesser of either 1% per month or the highest rate permitted by law. Interest rate shall be compounded annually. Interest shall be due on the entire late payment from the date on which the payment was due until the date on which the city receives payment. Prior to making each payment, the city grantee shall file with the city a written report containing the accurate statement in summarized form as well as in detail of its calculation of the amount of payment verified by an officer or other authorized representative of the grantee, setting forth its gross revenues according to the counting subdivisions and any deductions claimed for the period upon which it is computed. Such report shall be in the form satisfactory to the city. If any franchise fee is owed to the city upon reasonable notice, the city shall have the right to inspect the grantee's income records, the right to audit and recompute any amounts determined to be payable under any franchise granted pursuant to this ordinance, provided, however, that such audit shall take place within 12 months following the close of each of the grantee's fiscal years. If, as a result, such audit or review, the city determines grantee has underpaid its fees to the city in any 12 months period by 10% or more, then in addition to making the full payment of the relevant obligation, grantee shall reimburse the city for all expenses incurred as a result of an audit or review, and such Payment shall be made within 30 days following written notice to the grantee by the city, which notice shall include a copy of the audit report and copies of all invoices for which the city seeks reimbursement. If any franchise fee is owed to the city, in the event that any franchise fee payment or recomputed amount is not made to the city on or before the applicable dates, there heretofore specified interest shall be charged from such date as defined in this ordinance. No accord and satisfaction, no acceptance by the city of any franchise fee or any other payment shall be construed as an accord that the amount paid is in fact the correct amount, nor shall acceptance of any franchise fee or other payment be construed as a release of any claim of the city. The city reserves the right to require the grantee to collect any consumer or other tax or fee that may be imposed by the city, the Commonwealth of Kentucky, or the federal government on telecommunications services. Notwithstanding any other provision of this ordinance, the grantee shall be required to pay the government an amount intended to adequately compensate it for permitting and inspection of the grantee's construction activities and rights-of-way pursuant to the code, and all attorney's fees that the government may incur relating to the franchising process, including but not limited to any franchise fees, any attorney's fees incurred relating granting or of the franchise and transfer, renewal, modification of the franchise.
Amen.
Okay.
Chair, so moved.
I'm so moved, I'm sorry.
Second.
I got lost in all of that.
It's a lot to get lost in. It's a lot of lingo, so. Preston, would you like to come up and make some comments?
My name is Preston Lewis Orsini. I'm the Director of Network Operations for Quad State Internet. I'm one of about 6 partners that started the first fiber optic to the home ISP in the city of Paducah. However, right now we can't place our facilities within the right-of-way. We're very limited about where we can go. Right now we're continuing and working on build-outs in Lonoke, Kentucky, and we've just completed a licensing agreement with Metropolis, Illinois. We pay 1% of our gross revenue to the city of Metropolis, and that's collected through the state. Telecommunications franchising is very, very complicated, and it's forever changing. And the last time that this was really addressed was almost 30 years ago, and how we proceed with this now is going to determine how the next 30 years looks for us. So there's a lot of large entities that are interested in deploying fiber optic internet in this area, and we've coordinated and collaborated with a lot of them. But as this current ordinance reads, you'll hear the term minimum franchise fee, and that's $15,000 per year. And so right now, we probably have about a 20% margin on our services sold, and we're reinvesting all of the money that we get in as we're building out back into our infrastructure so we can continue moving out. And so what that minimum franchise fee does to a company of our size, whenever we calculate it, it ends up being about a 200% tax on our revenue. However, for a large company, it represents a 5% tax on the revenue. The other thing that you may have heard in there was $2 per linear foot. It cost us about 50 cents per linear foot to purchase fiber optic cable and deploy it after we've paid for the engineering assessments with the city of Paducah, Paducah Power System, or whoever the local electric cooperative is. So the tax ends up being $2 per linear foot deployed. I asked for clarification on that from your council on how they came to that or how that applies, but I didn't receive any. One other thing that we've seen is a lot of contractors that are currently doing work for the city tend to carry $1 million, $2 million insurance policies. And so they're the ones that works on the sidewalks. They do a lot of the boring for Paducah Power's FiberNet and a lot of other entities within Paducah. The $5-10 million policy, we've not been able to find an underwriter for that. What we've seen is large telecommunications providers tend to self-insure up to $20 million. And so we haven't been able to find a carrier that would carry a company of our size to the $5-10 million. And the reasoning is they said they can't see why the liability or where that level of liability would come into play with the type of work that we would do. So as written, those 3 things within the telecommunications ordinance would stop this local company, our local company, from deploying fiber optic to the home. So we had talked to you guys as council about this. They did change some fees a little bit, but it does fall short, and it would stop us from building out in Paducah and lay out the red carpet for everybody else. So we hope that you guys are able to take that into consideration and amend the ordinance to allow us to deploy fiber optic to the home. Thank you. Right at 3 minutes.
Good job, good job. So any questions or comments from commissioners?
I just want to make sure we're fair. I mean, for the small businesses, you know, I mean, I think Darren, manager, laid out what other communities were doing. And I just want to make sure we're fair. And I kind of trust our legal party.
Well, we have attorneys for a reason, but at the same time, we're the ones making the decision. So, we listen, but I have the same thought process. I want to make sure that we're fair. But at the same time, it kind of sounds like to me, I'm just kind of throwing this out. I mean, it's a matter of where you are in the life cycle of your company, compared to other people. It seems to some degree is part of the challenge here, and so, and when we look at, it, it's not just your company, it's any company. We want to be inviting, for companies to come in, but at the same time, we have to protect, the city rights, and I think there's good reasons that we've applied these fees in this manner. I mean, we could sit here and debate, whether or not we charge $15,000 or 10 or 5, or the approach that we take to it. But there is a reason that we have to be reimbursed, and we've kind of gone through all that process. But I think based upon what you're saying, I'm willing to huddle with our attorneys again, and make sure that, we've explored every opportunity, because I think we do want to be fair. We do want to be completely fair. I'm just not sure that I'm not sure we're going to have the outcome that you would prefer, but at the same time, I think that we've got to do the due diligence, as much due diligence as we possibly can, just to make sure that we understand the way, exactly what this ordinance is going to mean, to folks. So we'll, I'm not saying that we would amend the ordinance. I'm saying that we would take a look at it from here. Any additional thoughts or questions?
I'm good.
Come on, I'm the only one talking up here, I mean.
Well, since you want us to talk, I'll say ditto to what you said. I called city manager today just to ask a few more questions to make sure I was understanding all that I was reading. Of course, it took me a little while to read through. I didn't read through it as quickly as Ms. Parrish went through it. But I think I say ditto to what Commissioner Guest has said and to what the mayor said, is that we do want to be fair. But I do, from talking to the city manager again, I believe that our team has done due diligence in putting this ordinance together. Our legal team has done due diligence. So I'm confident that we're on the right path, but I do want to make sure that we do what we need to do to make sure that we are indeed on a good path.
Anybody else? We all good? Okay, thank you for your comments. Appreciate it very much.
Comments.
Okay, we got the second ordinance. We'd ask the city clerk to please read it.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor to execute contract modification number 1 with HDR Incorporated in an amount of $86,200 to increase the scope in the professional services contract to include engineering drawings and specification, bidding administration, project inspection, monitoring, administration, and reporting. This ordinance is summarized as follows. The mayor is hereby authorized to execute contract modification number 1 with HDR Incorporated for the dredging project for additional services in an amount not to exceed $86,200, and a decrease in the amount of $25,785 for a net increase of $60,415, and a new total contract cost of $326,665. This expenditure shall be charged to the dredging project account DT0047.
So moved.
Second.
Mayor, Commission, City Commission, and City Manager. This money will be used to draw up the bid specification for the dredging contract and also to do the inspection of the work while the dredging is actually taking place. And we look to start that work this fall.
How long will that take?
Probably about 3 weeks. The dredging equipment that they use can move a large amount of material in a short period of time, maybe 1,800 yards a day.
I don't have any other questions. I don't have any questions, actually.
You want some good news?
Sure.
You're only having to pay 5%, 5.2% on that $366,000. The rest of the money is coming from federal government and state. So on that dollar figure there, on our full amount is very little. So if there's any light at the end of the tunnel, you're only 5.2% in the dredging effort itself in total.
Thank you, Rick. Appreciate it. Okay, the Riverfront Hotel, if you want to read that ordinance.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the City of Paducah, Kentucky, authorizing the amendment and supplement of the bond purchase agreement dated as of November 1st, 2015, by and among the City of Paducah, Riverfront, by and among the City, Paducah Riverfront Hotel, Independence Bank of Kentucky as servicing agent, and Independence Bank of Kentucky as original purchaser, for the purposes of establishing the interest rate applicable to the city's industrial building revenue bonds, Series 2015 Paducah Riverfront Hotel, LP, project for the period beginning on and including May 1st, 2022, but excluding the second optional tender date applicable thereto, and authorizing the actions in connections with the amendment of the bond purchase agreement and the Series 2015 bond. This ordinance is summarized as follows. This ordinance amends and supplements an ordinance 2015-8-8283 of the city previously adopted on August 25th, 2015, hereinafter titled the prior ordinance. The prior ordinance authorized the issuance of the City of Paducah, Kentucky Industrial Building Revenue Bond Series 2015 to finance the cost of the acquisition in the amount up to $12 million to finance the cost of the acquisition, construction, installation, and equipment of a building suitable for use as a hotel, together with all related and subordinate facilities necessary for the operation thereof, for lease to the Paducah Riverfront Hotel. Certain terms of the Series 2015 bond are governed by a bond purchase agreement by and among the city, the tenant, Independence Bank of Kentucky, as servicing agent for the city with respect to the Series 2015 bond hereunder, the servicing agent, and Independence Bank of Kentucky as original purchaser of the Series 2015 bond, the original purchaser. The amending ordinance authorizes the amendment of the bond purchase agreement and the Series 2015 bond to require an interest rate per annum of 4.75% to apply to the Series 2015 bond from May 1st, 2022 to April 30th, 2027, and to provide for 8 consecutive monthly interest-only payments beginning June 1st, 2022. The prior ordinance provides that pursuant to sections 103.200 through 103.285, inclusive of the Kentucky Revised Statutes, the Series 2015 bond will constitute a special and limited obligation of the city payable solely from receipts and security derived from the tenant.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Phil, would you tell us what this is all about? In 100 words or less. Just kidding.
Independence, I'm gonna kind of shortcut all of this. Imagine that Independence Bank made a loan to the Paducah Riverfront Hotel Group to build the Holiday Inn, okay? Which is in essence what happened. But they did it by way of a city industrial bond. So the city issued the bond, the bank bought the bond. The relationship really at this stage is between the bank and the borrower or owner, but we have that facade of the industrial revenue bond that they encompass it all. So this was done in 2015 under the bond documents, or loan documents. The interest rate came up for review 7 years after the original loan was made. That's what's happened now. So we've come up, the borrower and the bank have talked about it. We're going to leave the interest rate the same, but we need to document it. So instead of doing a loan agreement, which is what I would normally do for the bank, we have to do it by way of a bond, supplemental bond agreement, okay? So I worked with the city's bond council to draft the supplemental bond agreement, which in essence says we're going to carry this interest rate out for another 5 years, at which time it'll come up for renew again, just like a traditional loan type transaction. But because the city was involved with the original transaction, they're a party to the original bond purchase agreement, bond council says we need to have your consent to do it. You're not liable on the debt. There's no, it doesn't impact your ability to borrow money. It's pretty much this.
Well, that wasn't 100 words, but it was a good explanation.
It was hard to narrow it down that quick.
I understand. You did a great job, actually. So the interest rate's not changing?
It's not changing.
Interesting. I don't have any questions. I think we're good.
Okay.
So,
Did a good job,
yep.
thanks.
Thank you very much for being
Thank you.
here. Appreciate it. Okay, the interlocal cooperation agreement with the City of Mayfield.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the City of Paducah, Kentucky, authorizing and approving an interlocal agreement with the City of Mayfield, Kentucky regarding building inspection and plan review services, and authorizing the execution of all documents related to same. This ordinance is summarized as follows. This ordinance authorizes the mayor to execute an interlocal agreement and all documents relating to same with the City of Mayfield, Kentucky, for the purpose of the City of Mayfield engaging the services of the City of Paducah to assist with building inspection and building plan review. The duration of said agreement shall be from the effective date of the agreement to June 30th, 2024, and may be renewed for one additional 3-year term upon agreement of the parties at least 90 days prior to the expiration of the initial term with approval from the Paducah Board of Commissioners.
So moved.
Second.
Chief Kyle? you want
Good
to tell
evening,
us
Mayor,
about this?
Commissioner, and City Manager. This agreement is just us helping out our sister city as a result of the tragedy for December 10th of last year, and it just speaks for itself. We don't really have any idea of how much work we're going to get right now. I talked to Chief Creason this afternoon, as a matter of fact, just to see, and they've got several things going on. They're trying to pass some TIF districts and other things that generate growth, but that hasn't been done yet. So we'll just have to see as it comes. In the agreement, we have ways to protect ourselves and put our projects first so that it doesn't impede our ability to get projects done here in the city of Paducah.
Is it building and electric?
Yes. No, just building.
Okay.
No questions? So this originally came up, I can't remember how, I know Mayor Onan at some point in time said something to me about it, and Chief Kyle and I talked about it. I know he talked with Chief Creason over in Mayfield. I mean, we were, I guess, from the get-go, really all in on doing anything we could to help Mayfield recover from the tornado. And as Chief Kyle says, we don't really have any idea at this point of the scope, the amount of work, or when the amount of work actually would come.
No, we don't. And we're not their only avenue either. You know, they're using the state for some things. They may have another agreement or two out there. I know KLC was attempting to help them secure some other opportunity as well, but you know, we'd be remiss if we didn't step up and try to help our sister city right here. And that was what generated that idea, along with Mayor Onan asking if we'd be willing to help.
And I think from their standpoint, they're just trying to cover their bases and make sure they've got some things in place because they anticipate things picking up
They do,
a
yes.
lot. So we'll have to be very mindful of that as we go forward.
Exactly.
So, okay, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. And the last ordinance that we are introducing tonight is our 2022-23 budget. And so I'll ask our city manager and city finance manager. Well, first of all, I'll let you read the ordinance and then we'll talk about it.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance adopting the City of Paducah, Kentucky annual operating budget for the fiscal year July 1, 2022 through June 30th, 2023, by estimating revenues and resources and appropriating funds for the operation of city government. This ordinance is summarized as follows: adopting the City of Paducah annual budget for fiscal year July 1, 2022 through June 30th, 2023, by estimating revenues and resources and appropriating funds for the operation of city government at $96,749,577, and summarized by fund as follows. Funds and appropriations: general, $43,276,785. MAP, $1,601,280. Investment, $5,810,790. CDBG, $200,000. E911, $2,571,530. Court awards, $90,800. Room tax, $1,840,000. Debt, $3,555,320. CIP, $1,760,000. Bond fund, $19,800,000. Solid waste, $6,900,651. Transient boat dock, $129,112. Civic Center, $35,445. Rental, $132,210. Radio Depreciation Fund, $163,860. Fleet Maintenance, $806,964. Fleet Lease Trust Fund, $2,013,695. Insurance, $1,364,560. Health insurance, $665,600. PFPF, $945,655. Other trusts, $85,320, for a total of $96,749,577.
So moved.
Second.
City manager?
All right. Thank you, Mayor, Commission. In keeping with the constitutional requirement of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, this is presented to you as a budget before 30 days before the end of the fiscal year. And also, as part of that requirement of having some overview or a budget message that aligns with what you just heard in reading in the ordinance. Some highlights to point out for you, and some of this will be a review of what we spent talking about last time. But as the city clerk read, the total of all funds is a little over $96.7 million. This year, that is up over traditional by almost $20 million, and that is because we do have to encapsulate and capture that $20 million bond fund on the books on there. So that raises that up. If you look historically of why our total budget is around $70 million, why it jumps up to that 96 this year. And so that's a point of note there. General fund, right at $43 million. Of note, public safety makes up almost $24 million of that. For the ability to provide safe community and police and fire for our citizens and residents and visitors alike. We also have an investment fund of $5.8 million that goes towards debt, economic development activities, community improvement activities, capital improvement activities, and grant and aids to our some of our community partners. You know, we look to partner on several things, and Mayor, as you mentioned earlier, like the sports complex or the E911, I think it's important to note that, you know, we have a large, out of that general fund, over $1 million comes out of general fund just to make up the shortfall in 911. And so that's why it also heightens that importance of us finding a revenue source going forward for that and coming to some conclusions. So as our funds get tightened as we go forward, that we do have some revenue to offset that out of the general fund. Cost drivers mainly in this year's budget, like always, pension obligations. We continue to make the statutory requirement and payments in on behalf of our team members into both the non-hazardous and hazardous that we do. We do have some debt into some old pension plan as well, and so we continue to allocate those funds. This year, more so than any year in recent memory, inflation is a big driver in our cost of our budget. When we sit today at inflation being about 8.5, I must give credit to our team members, our finance department, and you as a commission as we look to allocate our resources. Our increase of this year's budget is less than that 8.5% inflationary. So we're saving about 1.5% under this budget, although it is increasing over last year because of the good work and being good stewards of the community's dollars, that we have that mindset that we've been able to increase the budget, but increase it less than the current rate of inflation. We do have in this year's budget a 3% wage adjustment for cost of living. And then also for our team members that exceed expectations, there's also the ability to get merit as well, and that's built in. We do retain our minimum in our fund balances, the several fund balances of 10% in those reserves with this, even though we do have to pull $2.5 million out of reserves from our balance to make this budget balance this year. This current fiscal year that we're in we had anticipated $3 million. And so we, again, due to the good work and the awareness of our team, we were only looking at $2.5 million from fund balance. But that does not impact that 10% retainage that we have in there as the minimum percentage in our fund balance. Hopefully, our revenue projections will be very conservative, and our expenses won't come in as high as anticipated, and we won't have to use that reserve. And hopefully we'll be able to, like this current fiscal year, not have to dip into that as much. And those are some highlights from this budget. It now moves on to the next step is after the first reading for tonight. If there are any minor edits or changes that you would like to see between this reading and then we have on our next commission meeting the second reading for adoption. Statutorily, you are obligated to adopt the budget no later than the end of the fiscal year or June 30th, but we would like to have that on the next and plan to have it on the next commission meeting so you can do an adoption at that time. And then just finally, I have spoke highly in past and again tonight of our team members, and so without the help of John Perkins and the team in finance, our whole leadership team and our assistant city manager, Michelle Smolin, we would not be able to have worked through this process as diligently as we did this year. And finally, you, Mayor, and the Commission for your work and your efforts and your feedback as we crafted this budget to get us to this point tonight. We're very appreciative. And I'll answer any questions, and John's here as well.
Come on, it's a $96 million budget. You got to ask at least one question. Or to actually, you act like you're disinterested. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I think we've just been over it so many
We
times.
have,
I feel
we
like
have.
we've
We have.
asked every question possible. I mean,
Yeah, it's a great point. We've spent a lot of time on it.
We have.
It's an important part of the process. This is my second budget process that I went through. Last year, I was a real neophyte. This year, I did better. I'm still not there. I still haven't earned my degree in city budgeting yet, but I'll get better as the years go by, at least next year. And so I agree with the city manager. I think our finance department under John Perkins' leadership does a fantastic job of managing the city budget. We're a well-run, well-managed, well-financed city. That's certainly one of the city's strengths. And so it becomes pretty evident, as we go through the budgeting process. So I don't have any additional questions or thoughts.
I know we've talked about it a lot, and at the last meeting of the workshop, we did talk about changing some money to increase that one account for Sprocket to 75,000. I think that's the only change made, maybe since then, and we had talked about it in a meeting earlier this week.
That is correct. We use some of that remaining allocation or unappropriated out of that 5.8 million in that investment fund to increase that up to 75,000.
Yeah, thank you.
I thought it was a little less than that. I thought it was 29,000. Where do we get the?
Well, no, so
We
it
had
was, we had
29,000
50
remaining.
initially, we had 29 remaining, and we used 25 of that 29 to get to 75.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm cool.
Yeah.
You got it?
I'm Gucci. I just
Yeah.
didn't know when it happened, that's all.
Yeah, so from the workshop that we had at the last commission meeting to that, we took that and took some of that unappropriated out of that 5.8 of that 29, you're correct, there was 29,000 left there. Took 25 of that and added it to the originally proposed 50 to get to the 75.
So let me make just one comment about that dreaded word, transparency. As I mentioned, this is the second budget year that I've gone through. It's, our budgets, I've been through a lot of budgets in my life and in my career, and this one's the most complex one I've ever dealt with. So myself, who's looking, very intently at the budget numbers, how we move money around, it's challenging, for me to keep up with everything, from my perspective. And so I can only imagine what it's like for one of our citizens, to look at our budget and think about, where do their taxpayer dollars go? But, we are committed to transparency, and we are committed to making sure that people have access to our financial statements and the decisions that we make that affect those finances. So, I don't get I get a lot of questions about potholes and sidewalks and streets, but I don't get any questions, about finances. But we are open to answering those questions about, where those taxpayer dollars go, how we deploy those funds, and how we think about it. So I think it's just a statement that, bears, communicating to everyone. But we do appreciate all the hard work that Darren, Michelle, John, everybody put into the budgeting, department heads, directors, and hopefully we made some progress in the process that we made this year. Hopefully made some improvements. So that's all from that perspective. We now have, are we good to go? Are we good? Okay. We now have, one of the things that we did tonight, this is the first, since the new commission took office a year and a half ago, this is the first meeting that we've had outside of City Hall. And if you think about it, the first year, I mean, we're really in the midst of COVID, the first 8 or 9 months, and things began to get back to normal in the last few months. And it's been great seeing people back in City Hall, coming to meetings, and seeing our people out. One of the things that this commission wanted to do from the get-go was we wanted to offer the opportunity to come out into neighborhoods and have people feel more comfortable in coming to a meeting. So we've got a few more people here tonight, and it's good. We got a couple of people that want to make public comment. One of the things that we said was that if you want to make comment about neighborhood improvements or things going on in the neighborhood, you were welcome to do that. Mr. Ursini made some comments earlier about a specific ordinance, but we got a couple of people here tonight that want to make some comments under the neighborhood opportunities. And so the first one is Mr. George Thomas. We met Mr. Thomas at the last commission meeting, so please feel free to come up to the podium and make some comments.
I've moved back to Paducah. I've been around the world. This is my 4th time back, but I come back this time to bring something to you. I want to bring. We want to build an African American Cultural Center here and create some jobs. Like I am associated with a company called Pan African Connection. In 1974, I bought African art here with a friend of mine named Brahim Wagi. He's from Mali, West Africa. And I think that week, we bought some products here. And I think there was people that came from all the way from down from St. Louis, from Atlanta, and even to come to participate in 8th of August. And well, I've been around, like say, Nashville, Atlanta, all over, and they all do Juneteenth. And there was a comment came about 8th of August. Why don't we bring, why ain't 8th of August what it used to be? I can remember when I was a little boy, maybe I'm 81, I must have been 7, 8 years old, and I can remember 15 or it used to be 1,000 people. A lot of people used to come here. One reason why they don't come here, because they didn't know about 8th of August. We need to create jobs. I'm here to create jobs. One of my company, Roots from Mali America, came here in 2019 to work on a project. They built a home improvement company, but the virus got in the way, and everybody know what that done. Nobody made nothing. We all suffered from it. So what we want to do is, out your Lonoke, you got that old Kmart building been sitting there. We want to use that to create jobs, bring a cultural center here, put a daycare academy here. My niece, Christina Gaines, has an academy, and she wants me to participate in it. So we can bring a whole lot of, create a lot of jobs there. And I figure about at least 50 jobs to use it. And my company, Roots from Mali America, will be able to renovate it, save some money. So that's what I got to say. We're working on a project, and give us a couple of weeks, and we should have a business plan within a month on what we want to do.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for being here, and I wish you lots of success on that project.
We will. This man I just sat on his house.
If I was a betting man, Mr. Thomas, I bet we see you at another meeting sometime, so. Okay, Mr. Thomas, sorry to cut you off, but we have another speaker that wants to come up, so we appreciate you being here, okay? Mike Reed?
Hello, my name is Mike Reed, and thank you, Paducah City Commission, for this opportunity to speak. And as a rehabber in this neighborhood and a resident, welcome to Fountain Avenue neighborhood. When I was a student at Jackson Elementary, just a few blocks to the west here, we had a truly moral education. Our teachers made it a point to combine scripture memorization with classwork, so that by the end of 4th grade, we all knew by heart Psalm 23 and Psalm 100. Thank you, Ms. Copeland. The clear message was that Morality was established by God and revealed in Holy Scripture. This American orthodoxy was held as truth for the first 3/4 of our history, emphasizing the need of personal responsibility for our kind of self-government. To quote founder John Adams, "Our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other." In recent decades, God's word has been rejected by cultural and academic elites, corrupting our bloated central government and affecting state and local governments and even our churches. So morality is redefined to suit sexual rebels who find it more desirable to kill their fetal children than to bear responsibility for them. Thankfully, science is showing Roe v. Wade was plain foolishness from the beginning, while Scripture is confirmed. Many of us sense an awakening to truth rediscovered. Thank God. 2 indicators of a watershed generation have emerged. Number 1, Democrats' flirtation with godless leftism has borne fruit, confirming their utter bankruptcy
Mike,
and
your time's
unfitness
just about
to
up,
lead.
so if you'd finish up.
I'm getting close, yeah. This apparent theft of the 2020 presidential election has revealed that we have been unwise to rely on the federal government, even led by a good president. It's time to decentralize power and authority and resources, remembering that the powers not specifically granted the federal government in our U.S. Constitution are reserved to the people. Local bodies like this one offer an ideal place to put our Bible-based worldview into action. We Christians have the goods. Don't hide, engage. My focus is on Fourth Amendment breaches. Many in this neighborhood have shared with me that they've reported break-ins and home invasions.
Mike, your time's
Local
up.
police and government have failed to address. So, if you're anywhere in Fountain Avenue, don't run, don't hide, and don't let them chase you away. Continue to report to local police, and if you can't get satisfaction, get in touch with me at votemikereed.com, and if that fails you, I'm usually at work over in the church right next door, Grace Covenant Church, 16th and Park Avenue, and I'll hope to get in touch with each of you guys individually and share my concerns. So,
thank you, Mike.
Thanks for listening to me.
Thank you.
Thanks for my being patient with my lag there.
No, thank you very much for being here. Okay, comments from City Manager?
Mayor, no, I just, one quick comment, and you mentioned about us being able to come out into the community, and appreciate that. But want to recognize our team from WKCTC and the work that they did that took them out of City Hall and to get us here and to be able to broadcast tonight. So we're appreciative of our camera people and our audio and the sound and all the work that they did to allow us to do this tonight. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I'll pile on a little bit there. I know this is a lot of work for an hour and 13-minute meeting. But I think it's important, that we put our money where our mouth is, meaning that we said we were going to come out. We're going to take our meetings out to neighborhoods. It's experimental. I would have hoped there would be more people here tonight. But we'll try another location at some point in the future, and maybe we'll have a few more. I don't know if anybody's got some ideas on where we might have a meeting, we can talk about that. But I do appreciate everybody that put effort into moving everything here, for us to, have this meeting, out in the public and out in the open and out in the neighborhood, so.
Our Parks Department and our city clerk and the team there and Pam and all their efforts to help with this as well. So.
Yeah, I don't want to leave anybody out. I think there was a lot of people that put a lot of effort into it, so. Any comments from commissioners? Okay. I'm not going to look at you very long, so I'm getting hungry, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Call roll?
Commissioner Galt?
Aye.
Commissioner Guest?
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye?
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Gray?
Aye.